I'm the program manager for the ABCT program. This is a new program for the state of Connecticut. ABCT stands for the Accelerator for Biosciences in Connecticut. This program, we have just made a separate webinar recording of for an introduction and background on this. So if you're interested in receiving that, we will be sending out links to both this webinar, which we are going to record, as well as the one we just made at 10 o'clock on an overview of the program. So you will have access to both of those. So thank you for joining us today. This program webinar, we are not going to go through much of the background on what the ABCT program is today, but we'll give you some link as part of the confirmation for attending here to get more information about this. And of course, you're very welcome to contact me personally or any of the members of the ABCT team. So this is Mary Howard who is speaking. I'm the program manager for the strengthening for the ABCT program, and you're here to the strengthening your application to ABCT. So first, if I can just ask everyone to mute your line so we just keep a clean audio line for people, that would be great. We're going to take questions throughout this webinar, and we ask that you write your questions by going to the control panel at the right side of your screen where there is a chat box. And if you could please write in the chat box your questions, we'll answer the questions as we're going along. So you don't have to worry about waiting till the end. We'll write the questions right here. And we look forward to helping you make a decision about how to complete your application. And if this webinar does not answer questions that you have, please feel free to reach out and contact us by email or by telephone so that we can help you complete the application and answer your questions if you have any that are outstanding. We put this webinar together because we found that over time, the screeners that we use, which aren't exactly the same every year, because as you'll find out, the screeners are matched to the applications we get, and there's a pretty wide range of applications that we get. But they did have some themes in common, and we are here to help you understand how they respond to different sections of the application as they're going through and reviewing applications to the program. So we're here to give you that insight so that you can write as strong an application as you can. A lot of these screeners end up being scouts for their own organizations, and so it's worthwhile for both you and for us to have you write as strong an application as you can. So that's where what our inspiration and motivation is in putting this workshop together, and what we're hoping to convey. So again, if you can use the chat box to ask questions while we're going through this presentation, please do. We'll answer them, but if you can also please mute your line so that we have a clear audio line for everyone to listen, that would be greatly appreciated. This is Mary Howard who is speaking. I'm the program manager for ABCT, and this is the Strengthening Your Application to ABCT webinar. We are going to spend an hour going through this presentation. We are going to be recording it, but I highly recommend you uh, send questions as we're going through sections, because we don't cycle back and repeat anything in this. For those of you who have started the application or completed the application, you may already have some questions. You're welcome to type them in now, or wait until we get through the application to the section where you have questions. We will be going through the application and addressing the areas of the application where there has been confusion by applicants about responding to the questions in terms of how the screeners look at those answers. So we're here to help you. We want everyone to write as strong an application as you can, and we'll get going now with the details of this. So we are going to spend a maximum of 5 minutes on what the ABCT program is, and then talk about the networking aspect of this, and then get into the application review. I would ask if you can mute your line. There's somebody who's on a line right now that's capturing. I think you're on hold, and we can hear that. Maybe Colette, you can make that background, or mute that background noise. That would be helpful. So let's go through and talk about what did one person build in terms of their network who was in the predecessor program to the ABCT program. This is a researcher who came from Rockefeller and was collaborating with Karolinska Institute. The program is set up to facilitate the connections with both people in your own cohort. So there will be 11 other members of your cohort. This is a cohort of 12 ventures who will be invited to participate. In addition to that, there is a mentorship aspect to the program, and mentors are selected from people who have relevant current experience. They may be entrepreneurs, they may be foundations, they may be corporations, they may be CROs who are involved in this field. Those people are selecting the ventures who have been invited to participate. So this is not an assignment of organizations or people that we know to you. It is a process where they are already identifying you as somebody that they want to work with. We create roundtable dinners that are very small. They're roughly the same number of guests as there are invited participants, in other words, you. And those invited guests are there and are matched to who it is that we understand you need to meet in order to help build your venture. So for this particular researcher, there was a broad selection of people from a local and global set of organizations. We also had a number of people that were that the participant was introduced to at Pitch Day. We will be having Pitch Day in New York City for this program, and we will have 2 of 4 roundtable events, dinners in New York City as well. Part of Connecticut Next interest in this program is to have the program expand the mentor network for Connecticut organizations and startups, both as mentors who could become consultants or team members to help you build your venture. The other is to expand the funding base. Connecticut has a lot of matching funds, and they're looking for an expanded group of organizations to get involved with the ventures that the Connecticut Innovations team funds. So this again is an example of a real person who went through the program, predecessor program, which continues to run in New York City, and how they were building what they were able to build in their network and going through. We'll spend a couple of minutes just going through what the actual program is. The program has 5 components to it. We're doing the first part, which is the meeting. If you do not have your technology in your venture, in other words, you do not have a license agreement, please go talk to your tech transfer organization. There's a question on this application about who your contact is. We will be contacting them. We will be closing applications on December 4th. That's this coming Monday. The second part of the program is screening. We do screening for about 6 weeks. It's very quick and very thorough. We send all of the applications out to an external group. There are 3 different types of people who will review each application. And there may be as many as 8 people reviewing the application, but there are science reviewers who have expertise in your domain in the science field. There are people who are business strategy experts in this area, and there are also investors. The investors might be foundations, governments, foreign governments. They may be angels, PE, or venture capitalists as well. The screening continues after the external reviewers review all the applications and provide feedback. All of the applications are rank ordered as a result of the external feedback. We then conduct, as the ABCT team, personal reference calls. We'll be doing that in December. So we need you to get 3, we'll talk about this some more, 3 references that we can talk to. We will have in-person interviews for the finalists in January. And then we will be doing tech transfer office calls for due diligence where that's necessary in January as well. Then the class will be invited, and we will start in the middle of February. So that calendar has been set, and you will find that in this and in the other webinar calendar of dates for the sessions. So there are 6 full days of the program in the week of the 19th of February and the week of the 26th of February and then the week of the 4th of February. There's 2 days a week, full days, in-person classroom sessions, and then there's coaching that's online. That's a weekly coaching call that you have with a group of other similar ventures that are non-competitive. There are also online workshops that are held every week on Wednesday mornings. They're scheduled from 8:30 to 9:30. So again, online. In addition to the learning component of this program, there's a networking component. The mentorship activities start as soon as boot camp concludes and runs in through the end of June. In addition, we talked about the roundtables. There are 2 in New York City, 2 in Connecticut. There's 1 a month, March, April, May, and June. And then the pitch day, that's going to be in June. In June, we will also be speaking to all the participants in the program and getting your feedback about what we could do to strengthen the program for the next round that we run this. So that's the program. We're glad to answer any other questions, but we encourage you to listen to the webinar on the program to get more information or send us emails. So here's where we get going with the actual feedback about the application. So again, just to let you know, you're welcome to write questions in the chat box, and we'll answer this as we go along, and we will be recording this and sending out a link so that you can review this. Just basic background about this. This is a non-confidential application, which means we don't want to see unpublished papers. We do not want to see PCT patent application filings. If you have a question about that, talk to your lawyer. If they say it's confidential, we don't want you to submit it either in your answers in the application or as attachments. Um, Secondly, we have an online application, so you do need to go online to complete the application. That application is on a platform which is called Cognito. So you can upload files there, you can add links to answers, you can download, this allows us to download completed applications in a really nice format, which the screeners appreciate. Importantly, you can save your application and you can return and complete or edit it at a later date. So those are some of the things that the platform that the application is on allows you to do. A couple of things for you to keep in mind. These screeners are looking to do these reviews, one application in 20 minutes. So they are not spending a lot of time. So that's a real a consideration for you as you are writing to make this very clear. And we know that that takes a lot of time and that's hard, but you need to know that that is what the screeners are targeting putting into this. Screeners do not review a lot of applications. They are only screening for a maximum of 4. The other side of that means that we've got a lot of different screeners screening all these applications that come in. If you are in a situation, we're going to talk a couple of exceptions here where you want to file more than one application, let us know that you're doing that. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing because if you have different team members on different applications, we may think it's the same filed at a later date, but please let us know if you're filing more than one. You need to understand that if you're filing more than one application, it's going to be up to the screeners to pick which one you want. You will not be able to, if you are invited to participate, select a different technology. You're getting screened in for the technology that you have applied for. And the way that this works, the screeners are actually going to be picking if you don't pick yourself. So think about that. If you really care that you want to work on a particular technology, then just apply for that one, or take your chances that it may not be your number one pick that gets picked. I will say, and this is maybe obvious to all of you, but the screeners are a kind of cranky group. Make sure you spell check, grammar check, and check links so that the links aren't broken. We actually do get comments about that. So, do yourself a favor, make it easy for them. Again, non-confidential information only is what's being submitted in this. And again, if you don't know if what you're saying is confidential or non-confidential, if you're at a university, go talk to the University Tech Transfer Office or talk to your lawyer about that. Now part of the application, personal information, section A. We need you to identify a team leader. There is a lot of back and forth communication that we have with the applicants. We schedule a lot of calls. We schedule calls with reference checks. We do a lot of this by email. We need to have one person to connect to. So that's the team leader. And their job is to be the main person for correspondence throughout the application process. Separate from that, first you should know you can change who the team leader is after you get in. You can have somebody different after the application is been accepted and you've been invited. So this does not have to be the same person as the team leader, but we do need to have somebody who's going to be responsible for coordinating if you have multiple people on your team with the entire team. We do need to know all of your team members. If you have multiple people on your team, their contact information. Sometimes it's a little bit, it's important to us to know what the affiliation is. If you have affiliations both with the university and with a company, let us know that. Including a LinkedIn link is a good thing. We are finding increasingly that the screeners are going and checking out who these people are who are applying. So that's something that we encourage you to make, again, easy for them to review. Team leaders, we're also looking for resumes for each team member. So we have a sense of who the individuals are beyond just the contact information. Okay, so that's about the personal information. If anyone's got any questions about that, let me know through the chat box. But we're going to keep going because there's a lot of material that we want to get through here. Okay, so where the personal information is the same thing as the team information. One of the things we want to talk about is eligibility. So this is the first year this program has been run in Connecticut. What we have discussed with the state of Connecticut, who is the supporter of this program, is that you need to have a Connecticut business registration. You can form a company in a different state, but you need to be registered with the state of Connecticut. So you could do that now, or you could do that after you've been invited, but you're going to need to do that in order to get to be part of this program. If you live in Connecticut, if you use Connecticut Research Institution IP, those are all eligible for this program. If you have some kind of combination where you work outside Connecticut, but you live in Connecticut, get yourself a Connecticut business registration for the company. If you don't have a company yet, email us, and I'm going to change that email address. You'll see it later on, or maybe call it. You can just type it in to make it to me personally, so we can be on top of this given how short time window we've got here. You can change your team leader and your team members after you submit your application. However, we do require at least one team member attends every single event for the program. This is a program where we don't repeat content, and we need to have some continuity because a lot of this content builds on what came before. So make sure you've got information about that. And if there's any changes that you want to let us know about at the very end of the application, there is a additional information section, and you can write us a note about that so that we're aware of that. We have had the situation, and this does not happen often, but there are situations where there is someone on your team that's also on another applicant's team. We cannot have a team member go through with two different teams. So what we strongly recommend you do is make sure that you're going to be responsible for figuring out that your team members are actually all just on your team. We have, in our experience, a lot of research scientists and engineers whose first language is in English. We're fine with that. But it is a heavy communication program verbally. If you are not so comfortable writing English, you might want to find somebody to help you edit the written material that you're going to need to generate in the form of PowerPoint slides or other material for an executive summary. But that doesn't have to be a team member. And speaking is really the focus of this, much more than writing. university affiliation, it's not critical to participate. You can be from a university, you can be formally from a university, you can be, not have an affiliation with the university, that's fine. We have had quite a range of university affiliations, and they're all work. So don't worry about that. Whatever the university affiliation is, or if part of your team might have one and part might not, that's fine too. That has absolutely no impact on your the review by screeners of your application. We're being a little bit more directive here in terms of, we think that it doesn't hurt, it's a good idea to go ahead and get a LinkedIn profile done. Like I said before, we're seeing screeners spend more time checking out people who they are doing screens of. So, this is again another way to, if you've got the time, I know it's short now, but if you do, go ahead and create or update your LinkedIn profile, because we do see them checking that out. One of the things that people have asked about is, should they include awards or publications? That's a great idea. People have included publications in this relevant area, not all the publications you've gotten, but relevant to the technology that you're applying to participate in the program with. That's very helpful. People do tend to read those. You can't count on them, especially, I would say, the business strategy people may not read those, but you will, I would definitely include any awards that you've gotten, especially if they are related to the commercialization of the technology you're applying to this program with. That really does make a difference. So that's, again, about the first part of the company information. We do ask about the funding or awards received to date with dollar amount. There are lots of different places where people get their businesses resources. It's worthwhile to do that. If you have got some creative resource, you've acquired resources in a creative way, let us know that as well. There's also some interest by the screeners. They do tend to pay attention to research that's been funded by a federal agency, but I would not just limit it to U.S. federal agencies. People have paid attention to funds received from all over the world. So if you have received awards from outside the U.S., I would include that as well. The other thing is non-governmental funds that may have been received for advancing your research. I would definitely include that as well. People do know these fields and they have opinions, and they could be very helpful to you for noting even small dollars that have come in from foundations or other organizations that are supporting your work or you personally. So I would definitely include that. People do comment, screeners do comment about that to us. When we often get a question about, do I have to be a company? And so that gets to this question of how early or what's the target kind of candidate. Screeners don't seem to care if you're formed as a company or not. They're pretty used to dealing with people who have early stage research or maybe on the cusp of starting a company. They're also comfortable with people who have companies. So it's not, it does not seem to be, we do not see any correlation of a reduction or penalty points for people who aren't incorporated. However, our data from looking at the program that we've been running in New York City, which this is mapped on, it looks like more than half of them have been formed as companies. We think perhaps some of them are formed as companies as part of the application process, but that being said, that is the data we share with you. The eligibility with regards to a company form, does it seem to make any difference from screener's perspective if you're a C corporation or an LLC or an S corporation? Doesn't seem to be a right answer or make any difference with, again, the rank order. But if you are formed as a company, if you're a partnership, whatever, fill that information out. So that's part of the application. If you have received any funding from the university, either translational or commercialization award or one other awards from the state of Connecticut or other organizations in the industry on a national basis, please indicate what the source of that is and when that happened. It is valuable to include the specifics. Some of these people who screen also sit on some of these review panels, not just for the ABCT program, but for other ones on a national basis. They may be very aware of what those organizations are, even though they may seem like small organizations. Let them know, and that does seem to be something that they comment on when they're writing their notes about some of these awards and program funding that comes to the applicant organizations. So let's go now. I don't know if anybody has any questions about the people and the team and the company side. If you do, again, welcome to take questions during this, or we can take them at the end. Just please type in your questions to the chat box, and we'll read them out for everybody and then answer them so everyone knows what the answer to this is. When we go on to section 3, technology innovation. So there are a couple of questions here where there have been some clarification seems to be needed. So those are the ones that we've really highlighted in this section. So the first area where there could be some clarification is about what category would you use to classify your innovation. So a couple of points here. Number one, there's these categories, you don't get any extra points by saying, your innovation fits all of the categories. So I would carefully select the priority ones, because we do use that selection of the category to match you to the interest and expertise of screeners that we have. Now, that being said, some people are applying with very narrowly focused innovations, and some people are applying with innovations that genuinely apply to multiple categories. So don't take that also as inhibiting your selection of categories if you truly do have an innovation that spans multiple categories. But those are two things to keep in mind, that this selection of categories does have a material impact on who we match you to. And secondly, there's an advantage to selecting all of them. The question about what is your innovation status. So one of the things that we don't know, because we haven't had a cohort apply to the ABCT program, is at what level ventures actually get in. What we have seen in running the program in New York City is that over time, more advanced ventures seem to get in. In other words, people with ideas. There were a couple of people with ideas who got in the first year of the New York City program. There aren't any people who have gotten in with just ideas at the New York City program for the last 3 years. So that stage of company ended up being one that was super it was more. We are not able to, we have not seen, who is going to end up actually getting into the Connecticut program, because we don't know who all will be applying. And we don't have data on this, but what we're seeing from who has attended info sessions and who has been participating and emailing us is that the ventures are not as early as the earliest ventures that we saw. So if you have an idea but you don't have any data, that may be too early. Let us get back to the section C and innovation. There was a question that was raised about whether you needed to fill out the application in order to advance from one page to another, and the answer is yes. The questions that are starred have to be answered on every page in order to advance to the next page of the application. Colette is sending along a link to the application, which she'll put in the chat box, and that will be the easiest way for people to get access to the application. The other place you can find the link to the application is on the abct.co website. On the home page, there's a link to the application there as well. Let's go to question number 8, where there's been some confusion. In the screening process, we are very keen to understand that you have the right to develop a business around the innovation. So for some people, the innovation is not in your hands at the point at which you apply to the ABCT program. We are fine with that. The way we manage our own risk is to talk to the people who have ownership of that intellectual property. So we ask for you to provide us the contact information for the owner of the technology if you do not have that. If you do have ownership of the technology, you will probably still get a call to discuss that so that we are certain that you have control of that technology. This can be a very complicated issue, and we are willing to take risks, but we want to understand where you stand with that. So that is the source of the question about if your technology is still at a university, who is the tech transfer officer that is assigned to work with you on your invention. I will say that number 9 is a really key one as far as the screeners are concerned. Screeners do have a bias toward patents, and there are some that are willing to consider trade secrets. Obviously, you're not divulging a trade secret in a non-confidential application. So then the question might be, how do you convey your innovation or the quality of your innovation if it is a trade secret? And that is not an easy question to answer. But it is something that we need you to do as great a job as you can on, because there are wonderful businesses built around trade secrets, but we need you to be able to convey what the defensible position is for your innovation. And you may be in a situation where you're considering applying for a patent, or you've applied for a patent, but it hasn't been granted yet. That is fine with us. The way that we validate that you have applied for a patent is if you have an attorney, if you've got an independent company, or if you have, again, if you're at a university, if the university, the tech transfer officer assigned to work with you should be aware of what the patent intentions are with regards to your innovation. So let us know the details about that. That is something that gets a lot of scrutiny in this program. Just in terms of extra points, or how does this actually work? Again, we've talked about the number of categories you select or the field of use. This, again, both of those are used to match you to screeners. I would say that the other thing, statistic-wise, is that many of the New York City-based teams, again, that's where we've got the data from, can trace the innovation back to an academic institution. There may have been innovations since then that have come that are within a company, but it is worthwhile to be able to share where that may have originally come from. And that also means that there's a number of people who have their own ideas, or the idea may be from somebody but not affiliated with academic research. And there are obviously people who have no affiliation at all with any university. By the time the program ends, we see most people have been filing patents on their innovations. They're in that process. There are some short response questions. These are the important ones. What do you expect to accomplish as a result of your participation? I think that the main point is that the ABCT program is not going to give you money or ensure that you get money. That is something that we will both put you in touch with people who are interested in your type of innovation. That's part of what we do as part of building the coaching teams and the mentorship pool and the corporate support. However, if an expectation that you will that the ABCT team will provide you money is not how the program works. So just to make it clear about how the program works, this is teaching you how to fish, not giving you fish. I think it does make a difference for screeners in if you are writing with some clarity about what you are looking to learn, and if that seems to match with what you understand the ABCT program can teach, that does seem to make a difference to screeners. And then because of the way we create small events, often people who are guests are only available to come to one event. So as a result, we ask that you commit to coming to every single program event for ABCT. So make sure that you are available to be able to attend all the program events. There are often multiple conversations before the events in order to make sure that people who are coming understand where you are at that point. So your integrity impacts not just you, but the rest of your cohort and the cohorts that follow. When we go to the next section, technology innovation statement, let me just repeat, we are looking for non-confidential information only. This is challenging, right? It's very challenging to say your business, product, or idea in one sentence, but that is something that is important to be able to boil it down to that. We are looking for your understanding of what business problem you're solving. However, there may be, and frequently are, screeners who think you've got great technology, but it could actually be better used in another area. So you may not be in a position where you have any points deducted for your response to the business problem, but there's an expectation that you will make an explanation of what the business problem is that you're solving. The same thing with the target customer. We mean by that the person who's writing a check to purchase your product or services. There is some scrutiny given by screeners to your explanation of the challenges you're facing. And it's really regards to this last sentence, which is, are they solvable? That is something that the screeners do comment on, is, do they think this applicant is a good fit to the program? If they don't think that your expectations for what you're going to get out of the program are a fit to what the program can do, you don't end up getting a very good score in that area. So think about your answer in that context. References are super important in this program. These do not have to be only colleagues. They could be friends. They could be people who you've already done business with. There are a couple of people that aren't really great. If you have a business partner, don't have your business partner be your reference. Okay, we will call you back and ask for another reference. If it's a really, really old reference, somebody who knew you 20 years ago, that, unless you've stayed in touch with them, that's not usually a really strong reference. See if you can get something a little bit more current. There are people have given us family members. There are a number of teams that we've had that have relatives where parents have done the innovation, and the children have been the ones, and they're not young, the children have been the ones who have been running the businesses, and they're giving their parents as the reference. That can be problematic. So, you may be in a situation where that's all you've got, but I would really work to get non-family members in to your references. It is important, if you're from an academic institution, that you tell your tech transfer office that you are applying. We will be calling them and talking to them about this. One of the questions we're going to ask them is, do you know that this person is actually applying to the ABCT program? So you want them to say, yes, they know that you're applying, and that they're enthusiastic about supporting your application. There's an area for additional materials here. You're welcome to add through links or file uploads background material on the concept. And you can also put on a video pitch. We recommend a strong video pitch. If you don't think you've got a strong video pitch, leave it out. With regards to relevant material for the entrepreneurial concept, I will tell you one thing we ran into. This can be great. This can be a place where you can put published articles, or where you could, put it on, press releases, or put links to reviews or announcements of awards. Those are all wonderful. I will tell you that we run into the challenge of some screeners really screening these and not putting a lot of time in, and we cannot guarantee that they're going to open up all of the material that's put into the application as part of a link or an upload, a file upload. So if you feel the material is absolutely vital, extract from the file uploads or the links critical information so that it is part of the actual application. There is content that when the screeners download the file, it will be part of what they sometimes print and then take with them on a plane, or travel and review on the weekend. We highly recommend that any critical information you do not have only in a link or a file upload. We have had a situation last year where someone had questions raised by a screener and the answers were in a file upload, and that was a very, very tough situation because they were right on the border of getting in and they were not invited. And through our debrief, we identified that the information actually was part of what they applied with, but the screeners just never got to that. So, you know, we don't have a great workaround for that yet, but I just want to make you aware of the realities of what we've seen happen with the screeners in the past. So additional materials, there are a couple of things that are, again, problematic for us. Provisional patent applications, anything that's not published, please just do not put them on here. We also do not sign NDAs. We do not ask the mentors or the corporate supporters who are involved in the program to sign NDAs. So what you share would not be protected. We want to protect you. We are here to help you. So, you know, part of this is you're holding to yourself the confidential information about your innovation. If you decide you're going to do the video pitch, remember that people are, you know, don't have a long attention span. Think about the material that you've included in the application, and here's some guidelines that we have put together. Of course, you're welcome to configure this another way, but think about, you know, about 30 seconds to get through parts 1, 2, and 3, a minute for a personal statement and a technology innovation statement, and a minute to wrap up with references, you know, publications, your commitment to attend the program. Please send this to a link to a Dropbox. Do not send a WAV file or any other kind of audio file to us. It's going to be too big, or, you know, a video file format. If you have another link to like a YouTube, we can take that. But again, don't send us the actual file. We will not be able to open that and pass that around. We do ask you for the how you learned about ABCT. It does not impact your application rank, but we do need an answer. That's for our own information about how we do outreach for next year, and how we can improve it. I do ask you to confirm you can participate in all program activities. And if you have any special circumstances that we should know about, please let us know. We have had lots and lots of special circumstances, so this isn't going to be anything new for us, and we are here to help you and to accommodate you, but we also need to set some expectations for a very big community of people that you're going to be meeting about you, and we're really here to keep everyone with the highest level of integrity, so that we can keep momentum around other people's engagement with you. It's something to just keep in mind that, again, just to reemphasize, screeners can get a little cranky about spelling errors, grammar errors, and links that are broken. So please double check everything before you submit it. If you have any questions that haven't been answered here, let us know in the chat box. And if you have any other questions about this, you know, feel free to send us emails so that we can answer them in the coming week. We're here to help you. We thank you for your time. Feel free to reach out there are emails here on the screen that you can feel free to write to us directly. As I say, it's not going to impact your score. You can send us lots of questions. We are not rank ordering you. There's an external group that's doing that. We're here to have you write as strong an application as you can. And we look forward to hearing from you and receiving your application. We wish you well with your application to the ABCT program. Thank you very much. We're going to conclude the webinar at this point, and feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions about the application process.